And we're back and inside the war room now, where we pull back the curtains of the presidential campaigns and take a closer look at their strategies. Still with us, Rachel, Harold, Chuck, and Pat. First up, race matters. Hillary Clinton is speaking out now on the controversy surrounding Barack Obama's former pastor, Reverend Jeremiah Wright. Listen.
I was asked what I would do if he were my pastor, and I said, I think the choice would be clear for me. He would not have been my pastor.
But Senator Clinton went even further in an interview she did with the editorial board of the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review, where she accused Obama's pastor of, quote, hate speech. Go to the quote board. You know, I spoke out against Don Imus, saying that hate speech was unacceptable in any setting, and I believe that. I just think you have to speak out against that. You certainly have to do that, if not explicitly, then implicitly, by getting up and moving. Rachel Maddow, why this? Why now, after Hillary Clinton and her campaign so studiously avoided the topic?
I think they've decided that they really need Barack Obama to take a big hit. I don't know that they have other cards to play against him. This one gave him a little bit of a hit in the past few weeks, and so they're seeing what else they can wring out of it. I think this just is exactly what it appears to be, which is some political desperation. Otherwise, why go back to it now after this pause for a few days?
Harold Ford, you have to believe that this then becomes an argument for her core supporters and those superdelegates to say, if you're not moved by this, the Republicans are going to be moved by it, and they're going to saddle Barack Obama with this down the line.
I think Rachel and Chuck's points earlier are spot on in many ways. I mean, this is a political campaign. We shouldn't act surprised when these kind of things happen. If one candidate has some vulnerability, and in Barack's case, Senator Obama's case, he's soared above a lot of this politics for so long, and it's finally an issue that has caused a bit of consternation for him, politically, that is. I mean, I don't see how this should be a surprise. The question for Senator Obama now is, how do you answer this one more time convincingly? I think he may have to make one more statement about it and then just move on from it. There was an effort to do it last week, but I don't think you put all of this blame on Senator Clinton.
That's very interesting, Pat. The suggestion is he's not done. He's got to do more here so that people don't think, should we rethink what this guy's really about?
Yeah, I think this is a perfectly legitimate tactic, I think, by Hillary Clinton. Look, Republicans have had to answer for Bob Jones, for Jerry Falwell, for Pat Robertson, for John Hagee, for any time one of these things comes up. And I agree with Harold. This has less to do with race per se than it does with anti-American hate speech, the U.S. of KKK, God blank America, and all that. That's what's going to antagonize and enrage people in Pennsylvania. And if he's been in that church for 20 years, he should have severed himself, and she's got a perfect right to raise this issue.
Pat,
I mean, look, her political life is on the line, and this is not unfair at all.
Pat, the difference, though, between this situation and what you just described with Jerry Falwell and Bob Jones and all the rest is that Republicans weren't attacking each other about those guys. They got attacked by the rest of the country on those things.
What
this
are
is
you
a
talking
Democrat
about?
choosing.
John McCain used the term agents of intolerance.
And then he went and
Robertson
he gave
and Falwell that was right inside our party.
But then he went and spoke and gave the commencement address at Falwell's University.
Well,
Republicans have, by and large, held their fire against each other on this issue.
He was
Democrats ought to as well.
Side.
All right, let me get in here. I want to get to the next topic in the war room, which is James Carville. Why is it that he is so mad at Bill Richardson? The Raging Cajun caught a lot of flack for comparing the former Clinton cabinet member to Judas, betraying Jesus after Richardson endorsed Obama. But yesterday, Carville refused to apologize. Watch.
I thought it was an appropriate metaphor. He needed to be singled out for special treatment. I was not quoted out of context, Anderson. I was quoted accurately. I knew what the effects of this would be, and they were exactly as I predicted.
This morning, Carville went even further. Watch this.
I wanted to be sure that Senator Richardson's act was branded properly. I wanted this act to be remembered for what it was, and it will be.
Chuck Todd, is Carville sending a broader message to the Clinton campaign?
You know, I think he is. It's interesting. He has been somewhat reluctant to be a backseat driver in this campaign. But, boy, this seemed to be a shot to the Clinton campaign saying, hey, guys, this is how you could have rounded up superdelegates. This is how you could have gotten 400 of them on your side before the end of the 2007 calendar year. This is how you twist arms. This is how you send this message. And, boy, you know, as much hardball politics that people think the Clinton campaign has played, they never did when it came to rounding up superdelegates.
That's a really interesting point. And Harold Ford, the question is, should they have done that earlier? Should they have allowed so many superdelegates to have been uncommitted so long?
I think they, in many ways, totally underestimated the power and the compelling nature of this Obama campaign and him as a person. and they are searching for new narratives, new ways in which to not only have their message heard more, but to raise concerns and questions about Senator Obama. Now, they have to be careful in some regards, because this issue, as much as I think there's a separation between some of Reverend Wright's remarks and race, there are many in this country who believe that this has some racial overtones. So they have to be very, very careful in light of what has already come out after the South Carolina primary.
Let me get one more in here. Bill Clinton is out on the campaign trail, but Democrats can breathe easy. This time, the former president used his microphone to take aim at the Republicans. Get ready, Pat. Specifically, John McCain's age. Play it.
Look, we're going to have a historic election regardless. We're going to elect either our oldest president ever, or our first African-American president, or our first woman president.
What do you think about that, Pat Buchanan? That was a pretty good. He's got a lot of these indirect swipes, doesn't he?
We've been giving him a hard time for questioning Barack's patriotism. He said McCain was a patriot. Now we know he is a very, very old patriot. I mean, that is the quintessential Bill Clinton.
Is it a good idea or a bad idea, Rachel, to bring up the specter of McCain's age? A lot of people are thinking about it.
A lot of people are thinking about it. I think it pushes at the bounds of political acceptability. I think it's right on the edge. I think the only thing that is positive about this is that it'll probably be effective against John McCain, because it is on a lot of people's minds. And for once, Democrats are talking about the Republican candidate instead of levying that kind of stuff at each other. So that's the positive side of it.
I should mention this on the endorsement front today. John McCain picked up the formal backing of former First Lady Nancy Reagan. Mrs. Reagan will endorse the presumptive GOP nominee in about a half hour in California. Chuck Todd, quick comment here about the politics of going after John McCain's age at this point. And Bill Clinton is kind of the messenger here, the master of subtlety here in the past week.
Well, it's interesting. This was actually a slight change. It seemed like President Clinton was reluctant to go after John McCain. And if anything, he was using McCain saying positive things as a way to try to lift up Senator Clinton and go after Obama. But look, the age thing is going to be hanging over there and over McCain's head this whole time. Forget Bill Clinton. Look at what Late Night has been doing to McCain. They've been over the top about it. Letterman, Stewart, Jimmy Kimmel, Jay Leno, you name it, Conan. They've gone after this hard. I think that's done more damage than anything Bill Clinton has said.